In our last video, we took a look at characters who I thought would make a return from Mortal Kombat 11 from the previous two games. Now I think I should make something clear really quick. In that video, I was only looking at playable characters that were still shown to be alive or speculated to be alive at the end of both Mortal Kombat 9 and MKX. That list was in no way my list for the final roster in MK11, which again I will get to in a later video. But let's get to today's subject, where I will be talking about all the characters who I believe deserve a second chance. This list is of characters based off of characters who have not been in MK9 or MKX's roster. So the only rules for this video are: 1. They cannot have been playable in MK9 or MKX. 2. They cannot have been shown to have died in MK9, MKX, or the MK comic series that tells the events of what happens between MK9 and MKX. If they meet these two requirements, then they have a potential to be on this list. Also, these are my opinion. So let's begin. Sareena. You know, after being introduced in Mythology Sub-Zero and then only being in 1 or 2 games, you'd think in Mortal Kombat X she would have a bigger role in the game other than being pushed to a background character. And sadly, with Mileena being killed, which by the way still pisses me off in the way they killed her off, I think if Sareena would be added in MK11, she would be my new main. Nitara. I think a thing they are going to do in the next Mortal Kombat game is the same thing that they did in the Injustice 2 game, where they have the multiverse. But in MK11, they will do a multi-realms, like Nitara looking for the orb that imprisons her own realm, done by Shao Kahn. And what could happen is she is promised info on the whereabouts or even the orb itself if she helps a specific faction. Even the multi-realm thing was in a way touched on in Tremor's arcade ending when he went to the Dream Realm to help Kano with a mission. Fujin. Again, another character pushed to the background in MKX right at the beginning of the game to fight some minions. Such a great use of Fujin there, only to never be seen again. He could be used as Raiden's opposite in MK11, since we all know Raiden's gonna be either the main antagonist or one of the antagonists. Maybe seeing what his friend has become, he goes to the other side to warn them of some impending threat, or something like that, getting his own chapter in the story as Raiden sends fighters to stop him, calling him a traitor. Li Mei. Her village was being attacked in Outworld and was asking for help from the Special Forces, in a cutscene for maybe 30 seconds. And then we never saw her again. What a waste. Plus, I sort of like her Fist of the North Star fatality where she punches her opponent in all their vital spots and then they explode. Frost. When I saw Frost in a cutscene while Sub-Zero and Scorpion were having tea, I was really happy to see her and thought that she'd be a NPC to fight against, only to be disappointed. We don't know what Sub-Zero will have to do in MK11's story mode, so maybe Frost could be aiming to take over the Lin Kuei and Sub-Zero has to fend her off. Or maybe we are playing as Frost in her own chapter doing that very thing. Onaga. Yeah, when I was talking about Raiden in Fujin's part, I was saying that he might not be the main antagonist in the next MK game. Maybe Raiden or Kotal Kahn will be looking for Onaga's immortal army, and while doing this awakens Onaga. I just hope they will make Onaga a playable character. But just like Shao Kahn and the final form of Shinnok, I doubt they will make him a playable character. Then again, we could play as Brainiac in Injustice 2, just without all his BS big boss moves, so we will have to see. Besides, NetherRealm is pretty much following the old game's timeline. The MK9 reboot was pretty much MK1 through 3. And then MKX was essentially MK4 since that is where Shinnok was introduced. I don't think Deadly Alliance would work for MK11 seeing that Quan Chi and Shang Tsung are both dead. And even though in Deception, Reptile was used to bring Onaga back to life, I think they will have to come up with a new way to resurrect him. They might go off of what Goro was doing in the final chapter of the comic. A Shao Kahn is half human, half dragon after all, and Goro did set off to find Onaga to regrow his arms. And while doing so, he could ultimately fail, only to be possessed and then transform into the Dragon King Onaga instead. And lastly, Motaro. And no, not that version from Armageddon! I feel like after he was in MK3, he was never really able to get off the ground. I mean, come on, he is such a cool character, and if he was a playable, that would make it so much better. Just don't take away the Centurion part of his body, like Armageddon did. And yes, I know he is dead in the current canon, but if they could take Goro and make him a pre-order character, even though in the comics all 4 of his arms were ripped off, then they could do the same for Motaro in the pre-order bonus for MK11. And I wouldn't care, I'd buy that instantly. I mean, look at some of these fan-made fatalities for him. They are so awesome and creative, it just makes me want to see him in an actual NetherRealm game. I don't know if it is just NetherRealm not knowing how to program a four-legged character for a fighting game, or if they can't come up with any good combos for him. But come on, it can't be that hard to do. Motaro deserves a second chance even if he is just a pre-order bonus. And that is a list of characters I think deserve a second chance to be in MK11. I know most of them are female, but come on, look at the roster for NetherRealm's newest fighting games. And you can see that most of the roster is male. Plus it is a bit hard to pick characters who deserve a second chance when most of the characters are dead. Or a knockoff of Ken from Street Fighter. And speaking of dead Mortal Kombat characters, next time on the journey to Mortal Kombat 11, I will be talking about all the characters that have died in MK9, MKX, and in the Mortal Kombat comic series, as well as characters who might be speculated to have died after some of the latter endings in MKX. Thank you all so much for watching this episode. I will have many more of these videos talking about the ideas for new characters, guest characters, dead characters, story aspects, and as much as I can before MK11 is even announced and then released later in 2019. I would just love to see how much I can get right and how much I can get wrong in the end. And we'll try to do one of these videos every 3 to 4 weeks. That gives me enough time to get my thoughts together on the next subject. Follow me on Twitter at MIKombat for future updates on videos and subscribe for more. Until next time.